Dandruff.
Yes.
I think this show is giving me a form of Alzheimer's. I was getting ready and putting the show prep together today, and I started out thinking, what have I played this week? And I couldn't think of anything. And I started racking my brain, and I ended up downloading and playing a demo. But then somehow it all started to come back to me. And I went from thinking that I had like one game to talk about to having 7 of them on my list. As well as a couple of games that I definitely need to play in the coming weeks to also talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave me the idea for today's episode title. But I also have a couple other things that I want to talk about along with the games. I know that you have probably have a new Sea of Thieves story or two.
Always. So first of all, this week is the 7-year anniversary for Sea of Thieves. So if you play, if you join, you will get 77,777 gold just given to you. It's a little bit of money. It's not a whole lot, but that's good enough to get some cosmetics. They'll hand you just a bunch of stuff. They'll hand you like a ship flag. They'll hand you a ship cannon flare, which is gold. It looks really cool. But then there's also a double gold weekend and double XP weekend, and by the time you hear this podcast, it will be over.
Yep.
But yeah, I have 2 stories that come to mind. At least one
To
actually.
the intro first.
I see. Oh yeah, that's right. We have to intro. I'm getting ahead of myself.
We're still in the cold open. I'm just
We
talking
are
about
still in the cold open, aren't we?
today.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So I think I had the same. I think I had the same existential crisis as you, because when I was laying in bed not too long ago, I'm like, crap. What the hell did I play this week? Just Sea of Thieves. Oh no, I did play something else, but it was just more of what I've played before.
Right. I also played the demo for Ruffy and the Riverside, and I'll be talking about that.
Oh, good. We can talk about that. Yeah.
Oh, yes. But for now, let's bring in Polaris with Hey Sandy.
It's mighty strange. You looking happily deranged. I can't settle in bed. Or have you picked your target yet? Hey Sandy. Got your dog bite. Hey Sandy.
And that is Polaris with Hey Sandy. You're Not Dreaming of Things. That was the introduction theme to The Adventures of Pete and Pete from back in the 90s. This is Online for Maintenance, episode number 6. So many games, so little time. This is the official podcast of MMO Fallout. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/MMO Fallout. Support the show for as little as $1 a month, or just join for free and get access to all those sweet, sweet Patreon posts when I occasionally remember that the Patreon exists. I'm Connor, and this is my co-host Dandruff.
Hi.
Nobody will know. That's the benefit of not having a live show.
Isn't it wonderful?
And this week, we played some games. We played some other video games. As a PSA at the start of the show, and to go off of one of our older topics, I'd like to remind the listeners, for those who are video game developers, the Game Devs of Color Expo applications are open until April 18th for speakers, interviews, and panels. Now, I mentioned in a prior episode when I talked about GDOC that the speaking positions are paid. And I had a couple of people question how much payment are we talking about here? And I can give definitive answers. A person, a 15-minute micro talk will pay $250. A 30-minute speaking event will pay $500 split between the attendees. There's a panel, which is $100 per person, up to 4 people. And there's a couple other ones that are in that price range. So it's not an insubstantial amount of money that they're offering.
I was going to say that's pretty substantial in my opinion.
Now, if you're a developer and you're looking to submit a game, they do have the Game Devs of Color Steam sale that goes on every year. If your game does not have a Steam page yet, you can submit it to GDOC, and if it is approved as part of the Game Devs of Color sale, they will waive the $100 fee for Steam submission. So I do recommend checking out Game Devs of Color Expo. If you're a gamer, it's a great place to meet positive people. If you're a developer, it's another great place to meet positive people. It's a fantastic expo. It happens every year, September 16th to the 19th or the 20th. And tickets for attendees are $50 or $20 if you have financial difficulties for any reason. They're not going to grill you on it.
Where's that being hosted?
It's all online.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought they had like a convention center or something.
It's not in a convention center. They do have watch parties every year, but that is entirely up to a community thing. Last year, I know that there were watch parties, I believe, in Washington, New York City, and Texas. It's all up in the air about what people are going to organize this year. But I do highly recommend it because it's amazing seeing a video game expo where it's just people being kind to each other and nobody shitting on the games and the developers.
Yeah, if they have criticism, it's going to be legit criticism. Like, hey, these graphics need to be tightened up a little bit, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, what game couldn't use a good graphic tightening on level 3?
Exactly.
Hurry up with those playtests. We have another game we need produced. See, the most unrealistic thing about that advertisement is the developer proactively asking for the input from QA.
Oh yeah, no. It doesn't work like that.
The realistic version of that would be them going into the office and saying that none of their emails have been opened or read for the last month and a half. Or the guy saying we need to fix this catastrophic bug, and the director saying the game ships out in a month, we'll fix it in a post-launch patch. But let's talk about the games we played this week. Tell us about Sea of Thieves.
So I have got 2 good stories. One of them I was out playing by myself, and I'm running around for like 2 hours or something, just doing my own thing. And I decide I see another boat, and they're kind of you can tell when people are just new. You can tell when they're not very well experienced. I see this boat like drive up onto an island, and it like rolls around a little bit. Clearly they hit the island. They don't know what they're doing. And they were also just kind of like meandering around a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go kill this boat. I'm gonna go take it down. I'm just gonna go have some fun. Let's go see what they got. I sell all the stuff that I have. What do I got to lose? Except, supplies, but that's not really worth very much. So I'm talking it up big. I'm doing all the things. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get this one. Ooh, I'm hungry. We're gonna eat tonight. I say, all these things like I'm going to fresh meat. all this stuff. I'm doing all the cringy, like I'm talking it up. It's great. I'm having a ton of fun. I'm like super into the game. I pull up onto they stopped at a port, and I pull up onto them, raise my sail, which slows me down so that I could get better shots at them. I just hammer them. I just all the cannon rounds into them. I start use chain shots down their mast. Like I'm not good with chain shots, but I'm starting to get better with them. So like I just pummel them. I annihilate them. Their boat goes down, and I still see them on the island. I pull up my sniper rifle, and I'm trying to take shots at them best I can. But they're running around. I see them. They've got something in their hands, and they run and they're like they disappear for a second. I figure they're just trying to sell whatever loot they have. They come back, and I see them running around in the water. I'm not really sure what they're doing. And I snipe them and I kill them. They disappear. They're gone. They have 2 pieces of loot. I harpoon the first one, and it's a book. Every ship has a book. It just kind of lets you know what the other ship was up to. It's kind of like a token of you killed this boat. I see another thing. I'm like, I have no idea what it is. It's really, really tiny, and it's a white light. Usually, loot is gold. If it's going to be something that small, I harpoon it up, and it's an item called a rose pendant. This person, they don't have any loot. They don't have anything. They're doing something called a tall tale, which is basically it's story mode, but it takes place in the PvP area. So they are minding their own business, not bothering anybody, doing PvE stuff, and there's also a general rule in Sea of Thieves. It's kind of an unspoken thing that if people are doing tall tales, you just leave them alone.
So you became the beach bully for a second. Like you just rolled up, destroyed their sandcastle, and kicked sand in their face.
I was a total bitch. But it's not even just that I rolled up and destroyed their sandcastle. It was during the sandcastle building competition, and I'm like, oh wait, there's a contest today? Oh no! Oh jeez! It immediately hits me what happened, because I've done this tall tale. I've done so much of this stuff in the game, so I know like a lot of what is going on. Because immediately I see this and I feel awful. All of the like stupid BS that I was doing before that, like hey, we eat tonight, like that immediately leaves me, and I feel awful.
You just rolled up. You were high and mighty, like just I'm gonna beat you. You hit a homer. You strolled up to the park and hit a homer, only to realize that everyone else in the park was like 10 and playing t-ball.
Correct. That is a very good representation. And then I see the boat coming back at the port that I'm at, and I'm like, I'm gonna go apologize. So I drive toward them, and they're visibly nervous. They're going toward them, and they veer to the right, and I'm like, they don't want anything to do with me. And I get up as close as I can to him. I pull up my bullhorn. I'm like, I am so sorry. I didn't know you were doing tall tales. I am so sorry. Meanwhile, they're shooting cannons at me and horribly missing.
They are panicking.
They're panicking, and they're really not good at the game yet. So like they sail past me. I go to the island that they had respawned at. I pick up a couple of pieces of loot that I had found there, and I'm like, I'm gonna go take this to them. I run it over to them, and it's another woman, and she's like, yeah, I was doing tall tales. I'm like, where's the pendant? I'm like, I am so sorry. I said that I dropped the pendant on the island. I went and picked it up for her. And she's like, she forgave me. She was really, really good sport about it. It was a really, really good experience. But usually if somebody just yells, "Hey, we're doing tall tales, we're doing tall tales," I'll stop what I'm doing, go on their boat and be like, "Prove it." And they'll be like, "Here's the item. Here's an item we have. Here's something." There's usually an indicator that they are doing tall tales, that they wouldn't be lying. So I could be like, "All right, well, I'm sorry. Here's some supplies. Bye-bye," and just leave them be. But she never said she was doing tall tales. So I had no idea. So I gave her the loot. I gave her 5 pineapples. Pineapples are the best food in the game. So
He
like,
didn't say no bullying.
exactly. I mean, I'm a bitch when I'm out on the seas. Like, it's a pirate game. Like, you want to like kill people. You should expect to get killed. Um, you should expect to be betrayed. I had another little incident where like I had just allianced up with a boat, and as they're touching my loot to try to like build up their levels, they betray me and they shoot me. And they kill me and take my stuff. And yeah, that's always good. That isn't my second story. My second story though is, so I'm again out by myself, and I've been out for like 3 hours. And like, I just got done selling and I see a boat coming right at me. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. I messaged my best friend, and he's not online. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm being chased by a boat. If you're free, can you help?" He's on in 5 minutes. He's on in 5 minutes. I've been chased for like 10, 15 minutes by this boat, not for very long. But they're chasing us down, and we get to a point where there's these like giant rocks it's like the very middle of the map. There's this like huge mountain with like this like kind of like a hotel bar on it, and it looks really cool. There's smaller, littler mountains as just kind of like strung around it, and like there's docks attached to these littler mountains. On some of the docks, there's cannons. So my friend sees one of it says like, "Oh, if I would have known where we were, I would have gone to that cannon that we just passed." Blah blah. And then he looks forward and he sees another cannon, and I'm like, "Go get it, go do it, get it." So, by the way, this boat that's following us is taunting me. I forgot to. They're taunting me, and they're yelling like, "Hey, stop! We want to sell you some wares. We want to see if you want to, buy any of the things that we have." You can't do this. This isn't a thing. They're role playing, or they're just, they're doing whatever. And they just won't shut up. So, and so when my friend jumps off onto the dock, grabs the cannon, I went, like, he was recording the whole time, so I went back and watched it from his perspective. He shoots a ball called a anchor ball. It automatically drops their anchor, stops them from moving. He shoots the cannon, and the first thing I hear is, "What the hell was that?" Which is always one of the best things. And they're like, they start panicking. They start like, "What the heck? Ah!" They're yelling like, "Get this guy!" And like my friend gets on their boat and just starts slaughtering them. First, he anchors them. He shoots their masts. So now they're stuck. They can't move even if they did get up their anchor because they got no mast. And he just gets onto their boat and just starts slaughtering them. Kills one of them twice. Kills the other one once. And then I see from his perspective, he's like going, like doing what he can, and then he looks back over at the cannon that he had just gotten off of, and he jumps toward it. Gets back onto the cannon, and then just starts hammering the boat until they sink. He gets into the water because they had back spawn, so they're back into the water, and he ends up killing one of them and then dying to a shark. And we were just trying to get them off of us. Like, we were just trying to get them away from us. Anchoring them and masting them would have been enough. He wouldn't have had to kill them. We would have gotten away just fine. But like, yeah, they went from chasing down a boat and mocking me to sunk in like 20 minutes. That's really good when you get that good at the game. It's so much fun. But yeah, that was about it. Couple other things, like, again, it's double money and XP weekend. So this morning I had a 3-hour play session, ended up with 1.5 million gold, which is a lot. That's a good day.
Very nice.
The only other game that I've actually played this week is I did play a little bit more Hi-Fi Rush. I got through the second boss on it, and it seems like there's 5 more bosses that I got to get through. So I'm very excited to play more of that, and I want to complete that game because it's really fun. There's more. It just seems to be more of the same after the first level, which is fine. It's a great thing. You get more combo attacks and a couple more special abilities and stuff. It's a pretty typical brawler, but it does it very well. Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to say this week. Usually I talk a lot, but like, that's about it.
I mean, we got 2 good Sea of Thieves stories. But I had played the demo for Ruffy and the Riverside,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was very charming.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the addition. It's a platforming game. It reminded me very much of the old Nintendo 64 collectathons, and I liked the added little difficulty of having a very short amount of time to actually make use of the powers. Like once you grab a material, you only have a certain amount of time to actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those games that I'm looking forward to the full launch because it makes me feel smart. Because I got to the second level and there's a part where you're in the middle of the ocean and there's like these these stone pillars on top of each other, and there's a star up there. And so I was thinking, okay, clearly the game wants me to turn these into wood, but why? And the volcano was sitting right next to it, and I was looking back and forth, and I was like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do something with the volcano. And then I realized just through experimentation that you can turn the entire ocean into lava. So I turned the ocean into lava, and it burned just the right number of blocks that I needed, and I got the star, and I felt smart. And then I immediately drowned jumping off of the platform. But on the plus side, you don't lose the stars if you die. But I really I didn't get a chance. I didn't fully play the demo, but I played through. I got 10 stars.
Oh wow, that's more than I got.
Because I did the first 2 levels and I got all the stars in that area, and then I got stars in the open world, that hub that you start out in. And I like the hub. I like the painting swap little mini quest. And I also got a secret 3rd star in the second level, which was where you had to climb up a ladder and you had to just turn certain blocks into stone, where there was like a set of 9 of them, and you had to match a pattern that was somewhere else in the level. But I thought that the game was very charming. I liked the personalities of the characters, of just being like whimsical and kind of a Sam and Max level of disregard for one's own safety sort of whimsy, where the characters are like, at the beginning, you're on a giant platform that's falling, and the characters are saying, hey, we need to get off of this. It's going to fall to the ground and crash. And then you have the older mole character who refuses to leave because he's pretty sure he can dig one more hole before the thing hits the bottom and crushes everyone.
Yeah, the characters are just, they're off the wall and goofy, but they're so lovable. And just the way that the art is done with so many frames of animation, even for the idle character, like for idle animations, it just gives it this life that I haven't really seen in a game in a long time.
Yep, and like I said, it does remind me of the old N64 era collectathons. This is definitely a game that you could invest a lot of time into.
Yeah, I was getting nothing but Banjo-Kazooie vibes when I was playing it the whole time, because you even get the little guy that you can use to, like, the little fly or whatever it was. I forget what,
Yeah,
butterfly?
you get the bee.
Bee, that's what it was, a bee. And you can use him to glide. So that, again, a lot of really big Banjo-Kazooie vibes. I really like that the world is, not only does feel alive, but the world is 3D and all the characters are 2D.
Yeah, I love that about it.
Yeah, and they not only have, like, they do the, like, black border, but then an additional white border around them. So I think it makes everything look like stickers, which I
Yes.
love. It looks so much fun. It has such a good, unique look to it, and it's fun. Like, it's really a world that you want to see more of, and that I want to explore and, like, see the whole thing.
hmm It is a game where you want to meet all the characters in it.
Hmm.
But in addition to the demo for Ruffy and the Riverside, I also played the demo for a game called Eclipsium.
Yeah, you have a video on your channel for that. Everybody go check it out right now. Well, after this
I
video.
do. I have a 1-minute demo video on my YouTube channel. And Eclipsium, it's a very light puzzle walking simulator game. And it has a very distinct art style. Very trippy, very painful to the eyes for some people. But it's a game where I'm fairly confident that you're in a coma. And it's one of those games where it's a coma dream. And the reason I say that is because you literally wake up at the start of the demo in a room that has a hospital bed. It's very hospital-esque. And every time you die in the game, which I really love this design, every time you die, instead of giving you a game over screen, it drops you back in that room, and you leave, and the room drops you off wherever you died. So, like, you walk out, and then you turn around, and the room is gone. Which, again, coma dream.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
sure.
interesting.
But it's very light puzzling. The main puzzle that I encountered during the demo was you had to use a candle to light torches, and then you had to position the torches in a way that would cause vines to recede from these power boxes, and you had to clear all the power boxes to get a door to open to get into the next area. And there's some light platforming, there's some light, like I said, very light puzzle stuff. A lot of it is just sort of figuring out what to do next, because the game doesn't give you much in the way of instruction. And occasionally, because it's very dark in a lot of levels, it is just difficult to see where exactly you need to be going.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an interesting game. If it's under $10, I would say it's a guaranteed day one buy for me.
It had a very interesting looking, like, pixel art style graphics.
It's like a more pixelated sort of VHS style. Also, I ate a mushroom in the game and it made me high and I could not see anything for like a good minute and a half.
Ooh.
The big thing that I would say about the game for its art style is I do like the creator. I don't know if this is CG or if it's just very stylized live action, but the hands in the game, I think, are just captures of the developer's hands, or they're someone's hands, but they seem to be real hands.
It looks it, yeah.
You can tell during the cutscenes because the fluidity of the hand movement is very clearly something that's been recorded on video.
Yeah, I'm looking at your video right now. Yeah, it's I've seen this before. It's actually fairly easily done.
Yeah, it's not a difficult trick, but it is.
No.
It does add to the atmosphere, and it does add to kind of, I guess, the personalization, because it makes it feel like more like it's you playing the game.
Yeah, it definitely works. I like it.
I like the style,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the cutscenes.
The realness of the hands, if anything, is a little creepy, which I like.
It adds to the uncomfortableness of the game, in my opinion. But it's not, at least in the demo, it's not I wouldn't call it a horror game. It's not a jump scare game. It's just sort of a living in the environment and kind of just you're participating in the world and just sort of existing in it. And I'm not sure where the plot is going to go, but that'll be something for when the full game eventually comes out. Now, speaking of not sure where the plot is going to go, I played the first part of Fuzz Dungeon.
Okay.
Now, Fuzz Dungeon, for those of you who have never heard of it before, is a very straightforward game. You play as a rat dog witch who enters the Fuzz Dungeon in order to find a Sasquatch sex amulet so you can recreate reality and build a world where you don't have to work a 9-to-5 job.
Oh, wow. I just did that on Tuesday. That is very
In other
strange.
words, something we can all relate to.
Exactly.
Now, the way that you go about it is through a series of mini games. And they're mini games. They have all kinds of different things to do. There's a side-scrolling platformer. There's a mini game where you have to get seeds and grow plants. There's another mini game that is just an interrogation. And there's one that is a first-person shooter, kind of like Star Fox. But it's a collection of mini games. It's a game that is both, it has its easy parts and it has its very difficult parts. For example, one of the mini games I've yet to get through is called, it's a game where you're in a world full of art pieces. And the goal of the game, there's 100 art pieces, and you get a point for every art piece that you collect, but you lose 3 points for every duplicate. And there's 100 of them. And you have to try to get enough points to clear the level while somehow keeping track of the art that you've bought to not get duplicates. Because the points that you lose for having duplicates far outweigh the number of points that you get for just getting the art pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculously difficult. But the game has a very surreal art style. It has just the complete ridiculous dialogue, characters. There is a part in the game where the objective says make the statue puke up the horse butt, and then gather the meatlings and put them in the kiosk.
Can we show this on TV? Can we even?
Well, we're not on TV.
Oh, thank goodness.
We can certainly talk about it. But it is an LSD trip of a video game.
It is quite uncomfortable to look at.
It feels like a game that would be made as a joke for an Adult Swim TV show.
Yeah.
Something that they would have on, and like something that they would have a character playing that is meant to unnerve the viewer.
It reminds me a little bit of another game, though I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. It's a game where like it seems like it's all thrown together, but it's really not. It's all actually cohesive and it really works.
Are you thinking of Cruelty Squad, maybe?
I'm thinking that sounds
The first person shooter?
Yes, I am thinking of Cruelty Squad.
Where
Yes,
it looks like a shit post, but it's actually a cohesive video game.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cruelty Squad. I like a friend of mine showed me Cruelty Squad, and I was like, this looks terrible. But if you actually look at gameplay of it, it's like, no, this is actually good. Just the people who did the art design are just crazy.
Right.
They're just
if you have someone who can explain the gameplay, it makes sense. It's almost like a modern day GoldenEye in some respects.
Yeah, exactly.
Personally, I haven't played it. The good news is that you do own Fuzz Dungeon, because Fuzz Dungeon was included with the California Fire Bundle.
Yeah, I want to play it, but at the same time, like, oh my god, I don't know how to look at it. It's really the if you haven't seen Fuzz Dungeon art style, go look at it right now, because it is unique is not the word. There is no other game that looks like this. And I mean, I know that a lot of games say that, but genuinely, there is no other game that looks like that. I don't know if any other game would want to look like this.
I don't know. Like I said, it looks like a shit post.
Yeah, but it's not. You can see, like, I think Cruelty Squad looks like even more of a shit post, but this does not. This actually looks like a game. It just looks so eclectic and crazy, and you have to experience it to really figure out what the hell is going on.
Oh yeah. Now the good news is that Fuzz Dungeon can be obtained for relatively cheap. If you didn't get it as one of the Itch.io bundles, the game is like $4 on Steam and routinely goes down to $2. So it's not a huge buy. The reviews on Steam are very positive. 100% of 60 reviewers find this game to be a thumbs up.
Wow, how often do you see 100%? I know it's not very many reviews, but 100%.
Now, I will say with Fuzz Dungeon, the game falls into a category. I've talked about this here, on the old Online for Maintenance, and I mentioned it on my movie review blog. And I say that it's review proof. And when I say review proof, like I've talked about movies like Pool Boy Drowning Out the Fury. It's a game. Fuzz Dungeon is one of those games that just looking at it on Steam, if you buy it, your people who look at the game are going to fall into one of two categories. The people who see it and they say, I'm here for this, and they buy it, play it, like it. And the people who look at it and say, this is crazy, they don't buy it. So the reason that it has such a high review score is because it's strong enough of a presentation that the people who probably aren't going to like it are not going to touch it. I say the same thing for films like Sharknado, like the Asylum films, where people who look at that premise and think, this is stupid, they're not going to watch it, which is why those films have such high ratings, because anyone who watches it are the people who very enthusiastically went into it in the first place.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I use that with Pool Boy Drowning Out the Fury. I did that with Ross Patterson's books. Like, he put out a book, it was At Night She Cries While He Rides His Steed, a romance novel for dudes. And it's a Western story about a guy who it's about a guy who is basically immortal because he's rich. And he's a gold he owns a gold mine back in the Old West, and the town gets taken over by the Schlager brothers, who own the Goldschlager company. And a good amount of the book is Ross Patterson's character just massacring the Goldschlager family, who the book constantly describes as being drunk, inbred, incestuous hillbillies, which only gets away from defamation territory, because I did learn that there weren't actually a family called the Schlagers that invented Goldschlager. But it's one of those books that it has really good reviews on Goodreads, because anyone who looked at the book, the first book has middling reviews. The second and the third book, each time the reviews get higher. And it's because the people who are reading the sequels that hated, like, if you read the first one and you hated it, you're not going to read the second and the third book.
Yeah, that's fair. I haven't really thought about it like this before, but it makes complete sense.
Right. And I just refer to it as being review proof.
It's like the movie Hot Tub Time Machine. You're not going to it for Shakespearean theater. You're going to it for a hot tub time machine.
The people who weren't going to like the film, for the most part, knew that they weren't going to like it from the poster.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, say, I watched... It's not like watching a World War II movie and hating it, because you thinking going in, I like World War II movies, so this might be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same reason I think that Adam Sandler movies get 5-star ratings now, because anyone who got disillusioned with Adam Sandler stopped watching his stuff years ago.
Absolutely. And then his diehard fans are like, yes, more of this. We love it. 5 stars. And then, this makes complete sense. I haven't really thought about it like this.
I love our ability to stay on topic.
Mm-hmm. As we do. Video games,
the
right?
Fuzz Dungeon. It's a great
Fuzz
game.
Dungeon. Yeah.
I need to play more of it. It is so hard at some parts. Now, I did play, it's been a few weeks since I talked about it, but I do need to talk about Fortnite.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to destroy my computer today, because I played a few rounds of Fortnite, and for some reason the algorithm just threw me into the sweatiest ass matchmaking stuff. I kept getting killed over and over by the biggest sweaty players, just sliding and jumping and just flying around the map. And all I wanted to do was do my daily quest.
Were you playing at night?
No, I was playing this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because usually, like, on a Sunday morning, yeah, too, there's usually not that many, like, the player pool's bigger is really what I'm saying. So, like,
Shouldn't these people be in church? It's a
Really?
Sunday morning, and they're out killing me on Fortnite.
Right?
But they introduced The game is continuing forward with the heist theme, and they have introduced effectively new ways to get loot right off the bat, where you can drop into you can complete missions to get pieces of a security card. And what that allows you to do is you can drop into one of the black markets, and you can get into a back room and get immediate access to a crate that's going to get you kind of decent guns. Now, to exemplify just how useless gold is, or just how easy it is to come upon, Fortnite has a 5,000 gold limit that you can carry at any given time. And gold carries between matches.
Mm-hmm.
It's been in the game for a few years now, and it's been moderately useful. Now, the characters at the hideouts have kits now that have legendary weapons, and to buy one of the kits costs 5,000 gold. So you need to max out your gold and then spend it all on one match. Now, to show how easy that is, I spent all my gold on a kit. I raided one bank, and by the end of the match, I had obtained 2,400 gold.
So halfway back to where you needed to be.
Yeah. So it does not take much time at all to get gold.
Okay.
And they have included a few new guns. They added back in a drum gun. They added in sniper rifles, rocket launchers, miniguns. And they also made it possible to get dill bits there are smaller locations on the map that you can rob that are like little banks and stuff that aren't as populated. So if you want the dill bit locked guns, you can go to those areas where there's going to be less players because everyone's dropping at the banks to do the bank jobs. So you can drop into those areas, get dill bits, and then use that to get better weapons. But Fortnite is definitely a game that I have a love-hate relationship with. It is one of those games that lets me know on what level my brain is functioning. Because I can go in. I actually got my first victory royale of the season.
Uh-huh.
And it was soul-crushing. Because through sheer luck, either sheer luck, good luck of my own, or bad luck of the other people in the match, the last two people that I ended up against in the match were both very clearly bots.
Oh, really?
And that's rare for the bots to get down to the final 10, let alone to be two of the final 3. And I don't know what happened there. But I got to the last person with the tiny little map area, and they ran up, and I saw them just kind of jumping around. I was like, oh, this isn't even satisfying. I'm killing a bot that is shooting at me and missing every single shot while randomly hopping around in circles. But I'll take it. I think I had like 15 kills that match.
Damn.
But I'm never... unless I drop down and I die instantly, I'm never really that disappointed with Battle Royale games because I don't really go into them expecting to win.
Uh-huh.
And it's usually... I notice with Fortnite, it's usually the matches where I'm in the state of mind where I'm thinking, okay, fuck it. I'm done with this game. Like, this is going to be my last match of the game. I'm going to play like shit. And once I die, I'm going to close the game down and be done. Those are always the games that I end up winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the game is just clued into my brain. Because somehow those always end up the games that I end up getting a victory royale in. Are the games where I'm in the mentality of I don't care. I'm just going to see this through to the end, and wherever I land, if I die if I'm the first player out, I'm done. And maybe it's just that the fact that I'm not trying that hard that gets me through it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's something to that.
But yeah, I played Fortnite. I don't know how much time I've played this season. I started out at 994 hours.
Oh wow.
Because one thing I wanted to do this season was to keep track for my website, for my other website, vidjamagames.work. I have been talking about Fortnite for the last few seasons, and one thing that I always promised was that I would talk about how little grind Fortnite requires to get all the Battle Pass levels. Now, I'm level 125 in the season. And there's 200 levels of rewards for the season pass that you can get over the course of 3 months. Now, I started at 994 hours. I pulled up the Epic Games app. I'm at 1,022 hours.
Okay.
So about
28 hours.
About 28 hours, which means that I'm getting on average about 5 levels per hour. I think. Pretty sure. Yeah. Level 125, about 28 hours. Maybe a little bit more than 5 per hour. So it doesn't take a lot of playtime. It is very quick to level. And I played Fortnite. I played a new game in early access. It's called 33 Immortals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you playing a little bit of this. It looked really good.
It's fun. It's frustrating and disheartening, but it's fun. But this is it's definitely a result of it being a roguelike, it being new, the player base being low level, because the more you play, the more you complete feats, the more people get better at it. The whole premise is that you have a group of 33 players who get dropped into a big area, and you have a couple of phases that involve killing enemies, surviving waves of attacks, going into these instanced areas and fighting more waves of enemies and gauntlets, and then eventually ascending and fighting the big bad guy. Now, I have yet to play a single game of this. One where I have survived until the boss fight, and 2 where we actually beat the boss. Because the boss is ridiculously hard. And if you die twice, you are immediately kicked out of the game. Now, I know that a lot of this has to do with the fact that the player base as a whole is not that great at the game yet. People are leveling up their characters, they're getting more permanent feats, and also the game is just balanced for being a new game. But it is really difficult, and it's really disheartening when you're playing a game for like a half an hour, 40 minutes, and then you die right before the final boss fight. And it kicks you back to the main lobby. And I can see, I'm hoping that people stick with it. But I can see a future where the player base heavily drops off just because the game is so... I've never left it being anything other than disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you get the feeling of like getting to the boss, having both of your lives, and then just watching the massive health bar just slowly whittled down. And then there's a part around where the boss has maybe 2 bars of health left, where the game just starts spamming boss tier monsters into the level, just peppering the floor with AoE attacks, and it goes from being a fun, difficult game to something that's just tediously hard. It's like tediously punishing for the sake of being punishing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point where it stops being fun.
It reminded me a little bit of World of Warcraft because I played a lot of WoW back in the day, and it seemed to be that the whole game is kind of centered around the idea of like World of Warcraft raids. There's 33 people that all participate in this level at the same time. So you're only as strong as your weakest link. And in this game, your weakest link gets kicked out after 2 kills.
Right.
So, if everyone is not in tune, and if everyone doesn't know the strategies that it takes to defeat the bosses and to defeat the monsters in general, then they could not only get themselves killed, but get the party killed as well.
Yes.
Because I have done that. I have personally done that where I didn't know the boss and I wiped the whole party. And it's not a good feeling. And is there a party system in 33 Immortals?
No.
No. Okay, so in World of Warcraft, there's a party system, there's a raid system, there's a guild system, obviously. So everyone, even if you were to die, even if you were to wipe completely, you would still be able to go back at it again and give it another try. This being a roguelike or a roguelite, I'm not really, there's a difference, but I don't know. It takes away that ability to actually organize. So you go into this fairly blind, or at least you go into this with not knowing the ability of all the people that you're working with.
Right. There will eventually be private parties, but it's just not in the game because it just launched into early access.
Yeah, another thing that I'm seeing too is that it's not on Steam yet.
As far as I know, it might never be on Steam.
Well, it's on the Epic Game Store, and usually it's just a matter of time.
Right. But yeah, no, it does feel like it feels like the cards are stacked against you, and depending on your outlook, I guess it's very easy to get disheartened with the game.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, this is kind of, it reminded me why I really don't play, say, hero shooters, because I'm not a fan of being in a 5v5 game where if, my teammates suck, or if like people don't understand what the objective is. I had a game the other day where I was in a group in 33 Immortals, and the whole lobby was just kind of running around aimlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was keeping together. Nobody was really playing the game properly. And I don't even think we got to Ascension by the time there were maybe 10 people left of the original 33. And that's the kind of thing that puts you off of playing the game. Also, I'm not a big fan of the fact that feat progression, which is how you do long-term progression for your character, is locked behind dailies.
Oh, really? Okay, so you need to be able to like put a lot of time into this thing then too. It's not just like it's not casual at all.
No, there's nothing casual about this game.
Oh boy.
Like I said, I'm hoping that they can turn this into something really good. I'm hoping that they can do it before the community drops off. Because we've seen a lot of games in the past where it comes out half-baked, and by the time the developer turns it into something really good, everyone's moved on to the next thing.
And it's got a really wonderful art style and art direction. It's, kind of 2D, kind of gothic, but like, you had said it kind of reminded you of
Gothic Cuphead.
yeah, Gothic Cuphead.
I love the hand-drawn art style.
I was kind of thinking Don't Starve, but not as messy.
Right. Yeah.
Because like I like Cly Entertainment's art. They kind of have the same artist for everything. And I love it. It's very, Tim Burton-esque. This doesn't have the same Tim Burton like feel to it, but it's very, very nice. It's very simple and very effective.
Mm-hmm.
It works very well.
It could be a really good game someday. But it's not, I mean, I'm not expecting perfection because it's just out in early access. And I am playing it because it's a Game Pass game.
Okay. Yeah, because I wouldn't mind getting into a game that has the raid style feel of World of Warcraft without having to dedicate necessarily all that time to a guild, to, making your character and all that stuff. So this could be that style of game, but it seems like there's a lot of limitations on it, especially with like your feats being locked behind dailies.
Right. And also, with it being a roguelike, there's the extraness with it being a roguelike of having 33 players and really hoping that people aren't getting screwed over by the RNG for the stuff that gets dropped during the game.
Yeah. Because that's actually, as you bring that up, that's another thing we had to deal with in World of Warcraft is you'd be doing an alliance raid and shaman gear would drop in the first season. There were no shamans on alliance in the first season.
Right.
So that gear would literally be worthless, except for, disenchanting, blah, 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 blah. But nobody could actually, like, receive and use that gear. So I have good hopes for it. It does look very good.
Mm-hmm.
It's only $20 too, so pretty affordable.
Yeah, definitely something I would say to just wait on.
Mhm.
Now, I did play as my final game. I started playing through Dragon Age Veilguard,
Oh boy.
and I'm liking it so far. Now, I will say that Dragon Age Veilguard, I kind of echo a lot of the sentiments that I've seen on it, which is it's a good action game. It's not a great RPG, and it's not a very good Dragon Age game. And that's the problem that a lot of people have with it. The dialogue is not fantastic, but it's not out of sorts for BioWare. But I'm playing as a melee character, and there's a lot of parrying, dodging, a lot of attacking, and I do like the characters so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also not a huge fan of the I don't mind that it's linear, but I did find that a lot of the levels are very tiny, to the point where it's very easy to get ganged up on by multiple enemies.
Mm.
And also, it feels a little cheap in the sense that your side characters don't have health bars, so they're basically just invincible fodder. Like if I'm taking too many hits, I can always roll back, let them take aggro, knowing that they're going to be completely fine.
They never die?
No. They don't have health bars.
Oh, What? See, I'm not sure the purpose of this.
Because it's a Dragon Age game and it has to have companions. Even though they've kind of drastically watered down what those companions can do compared to the earlier games.
Yeah, but the thing is that because I haven't actually played any Dragon Age games, but I know that you used to be able to like take control of your companions and have them act how you wanted.
You can't do that. They completely got rid of companion control. There's a hotbar where you can command them to do attacks and stuff, but you cannot control them at all.
So, and I can understand taking away control from them to try to maybe focus on controlling a single character, but I can't understand making your side characters invincible then, and basically just making them human shields, giving them no real, not having the same rules apply to them that apply to you.
Right.
Like, that's the part that I really struggle with. Like, why this? Why did they go in that direction?
Well, because it's EA. Because woke.
But that's okay. But okay, for serious though, is it just
Because it's EA. Because EA does not like making role-playing games. EA likes making action games.
Fair.
And that's why Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Ultima, all of their even kind of Dead Space to an extent, it's why all of their games over time shed their RPG parts and just become straight up action games after a while. It's because the higher ups at EA do not like RPGs. They want action games.
Is it just because they sell more action games than RPGs?
Possibly.
Huh.
Like I said, it's a good action game, but it's not a great RPG and it's not a great Dragon Age game. So I can see why the people who wanted another Dragon Age game were so negative about it. Also, again, the dialogue is jank. Ignoring the complaints about identity politics, I do agree with I saw a great comment about the dialogue in Dragon Age Veilguard, and it was that everything feels like it was written with a human resources rep in the room standing over the writer's shoulder. Because outside of all of that, there's not a lot of confrontation or conflict between the party members. Everything is very much like, we're going to do this thing. Great, let's do the thing. And even it's like the worst, coming up with characters having conflict with each other, where like the worst thing that the characters are saying, it's like, you're smart, but I disagree. It's like, you're lucky you're so handsome. Otherwise, I would hate this plan.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of other companies and other games like Square Enix. They'll make groups that will just they'll make characters that'll just rag on each other.
Yeah.
Like they'll just straight up hate each other, and like they make it work because they take actual personalities, simulated situations with those personalities, and they actually go with it to its logical conclusion rather than just, yeah, you know what? We disagree, but let's journey on. Like
It's very sunshine and roses for a game that has, for a series that historically has gotten very dark.
yeah. Which that's I have Dragon Age Origins. I haven't played very much of it. I've played maybe 20, 30 minutes of it. I can't really say I've played it.
Right.
But like it has a very medieval, very gritty, very grim setting. It's not, and that is something I do get out of Veilguard, at least from observing it through glass, is that like it's fairly bright and like happy-go-lucky, and like that doesn't seem like Dragon Age.
Also, I will admit that it's almost like the new back during the PS3 360 era, where there was a period where all the games that were being made on Unreal Engine 3 were very brown and very like uniform in color and very muted. There's a lot of AAA games coming out that are very purple lately. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of purple, and it's making a lot of these games look very homogeneous in design. To the
We've
point where
seen
you could
this before.
almost grab screenshots from one RPG and throw it over another, and people wouldn't know that it wasn't the same game.
Yeah, because we've seen this before with like the early era of the 360, where there was that yellow filter over practically every game.
Also, I want to blame motion capture for it, but for Dragon Age, the characters' faces, especially for non-human characters, they look weird. And it's because it looks like they took a human face and plastered it, like superimposed a human face kind of badly CG'd onto an alien prosthetic. It looks almost like very early Star Trek.
I know exactly what you mean.
You can tell that they were motion capturing the characters for dialogue and face, but you have to retain some of the you have to retain the human face. So it looks like they carved out human face and just stuck it onto the character model.
Yeah, rather than hand animating things that aren't human. Because if you have like a non-human face, say it's like their jaw or whatever, you would want to hand animate that. You wouldn't want to just put points on, the mocap points, and then like use that data to like essentially just like apply a filter to the model.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about, if you can, we know I don't know the actual process
I can visualize
of it.
it.
Yeah.
But you have like the characters with the, blue face, horns. The rest of their head looks alien, but the face is just straight up human.
Yeah.
And it looks weird. It almost looks too clean if you look at the faces in Dragon Age of the, like, you have the human characters that have the human dwarf, like more humanistic, that they have blemishes, they have like scars and stuff, and then you look at the non-human characters with the human faces, and the human faces look too clean.
Yeah.
It's a weird kind of uncanny valley effect for me.
I always try to think of like the purpose of the reason why they're doing this, and I think
I think because it's motion capture.
Well, one, it's going to be cheaper to not hand animate things. It's going to be cheaper to just do the motion capture and just slap it onto whatever model you got.
Right.
But I'm also thinking it's maybe we don't want things to look too weird, because things that look too weird people don't buy.
Right. They want to. I mean, I hope it's not for the. I hope they're not trying to court the shipping community, because I don't know if they notice, but people will take the most disgusting monsters in those games and have them rail the main characters.
As they should.
That it does not stop them.
But I'm just thinking of, like, when a grandma or, a mom and dad are in GameStop or whatever, and they're wanting to buy a video game, are they going to buy the more humanoid looking, the more, the non-human that has a more human face? Or are they going to buy the straight up, grotesque Hydralisk from StarCraft?
Right.
They're probably going to go with the more like, oh, this isn't as, I don't want to give my kid nightmares. Even though, like, kids, I don't think StarCraft would be any problem for kids these days. Like,
StarCraft is pretty tame.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, if for people who don't really know video games, they still buy games for their grandkids and kids, so they would go for the more easily digestible thing.
Now, I have a couple of games that I want to talk about, just sort of as a different segment. These aren't games that one of them is a game. No, two of them. I have played them.
Oh, okay.
These are just games to look out for that are coming out this week. And one of them is just a reminder from last week that Spilled is out on March 25th. Or the 26th.
Yep.
And people should check it out. It's a cozy, it'll take about an hour. It's a cozy little game where you play as a boat and you clean up grime. And it has a positive message about the environment. And 10 cents from every sale goes to charity.
Specifically the whale and dolphin conservation.
Yes. Now, the second game that I want to talk about, mostly because I didn't pull any news stories for this week, is the First Berzerker Khazan. And this is a game, I do have a demo video of it. And the First Berzerker Khazan, it is a... I've heard it called a Souls-like. It's really more like Sekiro than Dark Souls, in the sense that it is it's a more hardcore. I would say if you don't like Dark Souls because of the difficulty, you'll probably like the First Berzerker a little bit more because it is far less punishing. The controls are more responsive, so you don't have to constantly be thinking about the latency from when you block an attack to when it blocks in the game. The demo is out. It'll get you a few hours of the game, and the demo progress does carry over into the full game. But it is a fun title. You're going around killing enemies, learning attack patterns, going through bosses. I do love the boss designs. I love the first Yeti that you fight against, who grabs you and suplexes you into the ground. But it is a hard game. The full game is going to be $60. I have it on hold to rent through GameFly.
I love the art style on this thing. It's very, like, busy but not cluttered.
Mm-hmm.
Very anime, esque style.
Yes.
I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really good. I like it.
It is very, very anime-esque. The plot of the game is you're on a journey of revenge and you are near death, and you basically share your body as a vessel with a cursed blade. Now, the further you get through the game, the more weapons you have access to. There is there's just a bunch of little things that make the game more enjoyable and less punishing. So, for example, there's gear drops, which you don't really see a lot in other games, in other Souls-like games.
Yeah.
And along with those gear drops, there's also gear sets. And the gear sets get you different bonuses if you collect more pieces of gear.
I love that.
What I really do like about the demo that's going to be in the full game is the boss payouts. Where in the Souls games, if you attack a boss, like if you fight one of the bosses, if you get 99% of the way to killing him and then die, you've basically accomplished nothing other than maybe getting a little bit better at the game. In First Khazan, whenever you're fighting the boss, when you die, the game spawns you back in with a stipend of soul currency. So the further you get into the boss fight, the more the game rewards you with souls, which you can then use to upgrade your stats. So you're not it encourages you to keep trying at the boss rather than going out and farming for souls like you would do in a Dark Souls game, because you are making progress.
That's good, because that's not you're not an all or nothing then.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the after you beat the first boss, you get a skill tree with its own experience system, and you get weapon proficiency. So when you're fighting bosses, you get experience based on every time you land a hit. So when you're fighting a boss and you're like getting your complete ass pushed in, you're still getting soul points, you're still getting experience, you're still getting weapon proficiency, you're getting better at the game, and it doesn't make it a big waste of time. Outside of, learning the boss mechanics a little better. Also, it runs great on Steam Deck.
Oh, good.
But I do recommend checking out the first Khazan. Like I said, the demo is the first 2 boss fights of the game, and the progress that you get in the demo does transfer over to the full game when it comes out.
Oops, sorry.
And I have so many games to play. I got my hands on a copy of Pirate Yakuza that I have not started yet. And I got my hands on a copy of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I also have not started yet.
Ooh.
I'm trying to play through Veilguard. I have so many video games to play.
Yeah, Veilguard's going to take you a while, from what I understand.
In addition to the 5,700 games that I own by itch.io.
Jesus.
But on that note, I didn't really have any news articles to pull this week. I'm sure there's stuff that we could have talked about, but I really do try to avoid talking about news articles in a way that I think that we don't really have much to talk about other than to repeat the headline and say, that sucks, or that's good.
Yeah, it's been kind of slow this week from what I can see.
Right. But on the other hand, it has been about an hour and a half. So I do think that's a good time to end the show. I look at podcasts the same way that I do feature-length films. An hour and a half is the perfect length.
Yes.
So on that note, I will remind the audience once again that this is Online for Maintenance number 6. So many games, so little time. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/MMO Fallout. Contribute to the show, and maybe I'll have enough money to pay Dandruff someday.
Yay! We'll see.
Because we all like money.
We love money.
And do you have anything that you're looking to play for next week?
Not that I can think of, honestly. I'm just kind of looking to, do as much as I can in Sea of Thieves. That's my game. That's what I play.
Okay. Well, on that note, we will hit the music and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Mwah.